Guys, it's Jeremy here at Metal Music Meltdown, back with another video. What I have today, guys, is the next installment of my top 10 albums of each year. If you're new to the channel, welcome. What I've been doing is my top album picks from each year chronologically, starting back in 1970 and working my way through the years until I reach the present date. So I've done quite a few of these. If you're new to the channel, definitely check out my playlist for each decade. And we're up to 2009. And let's jump right in, guys. Pretty solid year for releases. A lot of good stuff this year. Had to leave some pretty good stuff off the list. But number 10, I had Evolution of Chaos by Heathen. Great Bay Area thrash band. I wish they just put out more material. They only had 4 albums in total. But really good band, really underrated. They don't really get as much attention as they deserve, I believe. But really good band, really good album. Check it out. Number 9, I went with Night is the New Day from Catatonia. One of my favorite bands of all time. They have that really cool atmospheric, kind of depressive, doomy kind of sound to them. Lead vocalist really captures like that whole depressive kind of feeling. And their music is just really beautiful and somber. Definitely check these guys out. They have some heavy moments as well. But just a really killer band, very unique sound. And this is one of their better albums in my opinion. Really good stuff. Number 8, I went with the second record from the Mighty Baroness, just entitled The Blue Record. All the records are pretty much just color named, and to go along with the theme of the artwork. Killer artwork on all their albums, really cool looking stuff. And it was all done by the lead singer, really talented guy. Love Baroness, very progressive, sludgy kind of band. Very distinct sound again, and just love all their stuff. They've never put out a bad album. And number 7, I went with the Mighty Slayer, World Painted Blood. Super underrated album in my opinion. Doesn't get enough love in their catalog. I ranked this pretty high on my Slayer list compared to most people would probably. Just some really solid tracks on this one. 40 minutes of pure thrash and aggression. I think it's a really solid album that needs to get more credit. Number 6, I went with Black Gives Way to Blue from Alice in Chains. Their first record since 1995 with a new singer now, Duval, singing. And he did a really good job. His voice delivery and tone is very similar to Lane Stanley. The new guy's William Duval for his full name. But his voice sounds very similar to Lane Stanley, has the same kind of tonality to it and delivery. Really good album. Like I was really happy with this comeback album. A lot of solid tracks on here, very memorable, really good live too. Really good stuff. Number 5, I went with the second record from Warbringer entitled Walking into Nightmares. Really killer, raw thrash band, aggressive sounding. Really keeping that thrash sound alive with the new generation. And they're doing a really good job. They're definitely in that forefront of that group of bands really carrying that sound, and love all their stuff. I think they have like 6 or 7 albums in total now. All really good stuff. I really look forward, hopefully, to a new album from them coming pretty soon. And the next one is kind of a band in the same kind of vein, Havoc, with their first full-length Burn. Fucking love Havoc, love their sound, love their guitar work. Guys' vocals are one of my favorites in thrash metal. I just love the way it sounds. It suits the music perfectly. And they're kind of in the same vein as like Warbringer, like I said, that one of the newer generation of thrash bands that's really in the forefront, keeping the sound alive. And, you know, when you ask people who are some bands from the new generation, from the thrash scene, and, you know, Havoc and Warbringer are 2 bands that always come up in discussion. They're really leading the pack and doing a really good job. Between the 2 bands, I think I listen to Havoc a little bit more, but we're both really killer stuff. Don't sleep on these bands. You won't be disappointed. Number 3, I went with Evisceration Plague by Cannibal Corpse. This was my introduction to the band, actually. I think this was the first one I heard. I didn't really get into death metal until much later. And even now, I'm not super huge into death metal, but I do love the old school bands that kind of started the scene. Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Death, of course. And yeah, those are kind of the bands I kind of stuck with, and I like their sound. And yeah, this album rips. Really memorable songs, super heavy, great vocals, great good leads and guitar work. Just a killer record. Number 2, I went with Heaven and Hell with The Devil You Know. And this is like considered a super group, but it's essentially just a reformation of the Black Sabbath lineup with Ronnie James Dio, which is some of my favorite material from Black Sabbath, to be honest, with Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, and Dehumanizer. 3 of the best Black Sabbath albums of all time. So I was super pumped to hear this was coming out. And yeah, it's just a killer album. Really good songs. I just wish they were able to put more material out. Unfortunately, Ronnie passed away before they got the chance. Rest in peace, brother. Greatest frontman in metal, in my opinion. And yeah, this is just a killer record. Had to make my list, and just really, really good stuff. And number 1, I had to go with Mastodon, Crack the Sky. Instant, more modern day classic, progressive metal album. It's a masterpiece. Great artwork, great drumming, great guitar work, great progressive elements, and a little bit of alternative mixed in there as well. Just a really killer album. Most people cite this as being their best album overall. I'd say about 90% of the fans. But for me, this is their number 2 album in their discography, but it's very close. It's like cutting hairs. But this is a killer album. It had to make my number 1. It's so iconic and just a real modern day classic. Okay, guys, so that's my list for 2009. Let me know down below what you would pick. There was quite a few that I left off that I was kind of hemming and hawing about. But I had to make the list, and I kind of went with the ones I listened to the most, and that's kind of how I went with it. So let me know down below, guys, what your picks would be for 2009, and stay tuned for 2010 coming shortly, and keep it metal.